Hi and welcome to this latest video in the series explaining the law of attraction from eternalliberty.com. My name is Dan and I want to help you live the life that you desire. Expand your consciousness. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Leo Tolstoy. Welcome to part 2 of this book. The rest of this book, starting with this chapter, is really about you. Yes, you. It is all about how you manifest all that you dream and desire. Specifically, it is about the journey you will learn to love and cherish to getting what you want, reaching your goals and creating what you desire. This is quite literally the journey of your life. So how did the manifestation of a free cup of coffee go? And as some of you might be saying, why do I not just tell you how to manifest $1 million right now, if that is what you want? You may even be thinking, can I not just use the same technique with a few obvious tweaks to manifest $1 million? You could do, and it might just work, but I doubt it. The first thing you need to know is that the technique described in the previous chapter 7 to manifest a free cup of coffee has been cleverly designed to work for about 75% of you, or in other words, most people. We will look at this in more detail in this chapter so you understand why it is likely to work. When we consider manifesting all that you dream and desire, whether it is $1 million or something completely different, you need to understand that the reason you do not currently have these things is because you have fears and doubts. You do not believe you can have what you desire. It is the same with a free cup of coffee, except the doubts you have about your ability to manifest a free cup of coffee are so small that I can overcome them for you, as I will explain. More importantly, it is highly likely that you also believe that the world has to change before you can have whatever you want. You do not realize that it is you that has to change from within. In manifesting a free cup of coffee, did I ask you to interfere in any way with what goes on in your outer physical world? No, I did not. The rest of this book, therefore, is about how you learn to change from within, that then enables you to manifest whatever you dream or desire. You are going to learn how to be happy. So join me on your journey to find happiness and joy in your life, whilst conquering your fears and doubts as you find faith. You will never look back. So why did I suggest you try to manifest a free cup of coffee? There are two fundamental reasons to mention, which we will then discuss and explore further. Firstly, it is something that most of you are very familiar with. You understand how it feels both emotionally and physically to enjoy a cup of coffee or some other drink. Most of us drink coffee for the feelings it provides us, such as first thing in the morning. We can therefore immediately relate to both the emotional feelings and physical sensations of holding the cup in your hand and tasting the coffee. The important thing is that you, or most of you, already know how it feels to drink a cup of coffee. You have enough experience in life to know how to imagine receiving a free cup of coffee and experience its feelings, whether physically or emotionally. Add in the condition that the coffee must be given to you free of charge, adds an extra challenge of creating a miracle, albeit not one of earth-shattering proportions. Secondly, it is something you are likely to perceive as not requiring too much faith to believe this miracle could actually happen. I have said previously that there is no difference between manifesting £10,000 or say manifesting £10. The process is the same. It is, however, your belief about whether it would actually happen that makes the difference. The challenge comes when your limiting beliefs decide to tell you otherwise. Your beliefs will constantly remind you that you could sell a gift no longer needed, for example, on eBay to raise £10 without too much effort. But could you raise £10,000 just as quickly? Your mind is likely to persuade you otherwise. So therefore the technique relies on there being a challenge that requires a leap of faith, but not too much faith to overcome the challenge. I should also point out that the technique to manifest a free cup of coffee requires no interference in the physical world at all. Are you ready yet to manifest a large sum of money if that is what you want, knowing this? Not yet, I imagine, as neither was I at this stage. Bear with me then, there is a lot more to cover before we get to this point. In Chapter 6, I also introduce the concept that to get to the point where you can have what you really desire requires you to go on a journey. This journey is necessary because you have to change the person you are inside to become the person who believes you can have your wishes fulfilled and you believe you already have what you desire. This journey involves letting go or surrendering your limiting beliefs. More on this later in the chapter. This is a very important concept, but one I have to leave for now. Suffice to say that I believe most of you do not require much of a journey, if at all, to use your imagination to believe you already have a free cup of coffee. The journey is short, so short in fact that you would not even be aware of it. It is highly unlikely that you have limiting beliefs that you do not deserve a free coffee, though some of you might. On the question of manifesting $1 million, yes, I would envisage the vast majority of you have huge limiting beliefs. Therefore, limiting beliefs deserves a section of its own in another part of this book. For now, back to the coffee. We will pick through what you actually did, both physically and emotionally, to manifest a free cup of coffee in a moment. In doing this, we need to revisit some concepts introduced in part 1 of the book as a reminder, and how they form part of the manifestation process. Let us look then at the technique in Chapter 7 and put you in the middle of it. You manifested a free cup of coffee using your imagination. You used a creative power internal to your human mind or consciousness. In using your imagination, you imagined both physical and emotional feelings. Both of these elements are important in the manifestation process, as you will see. We will now look at what you actually did in using the manifestation process based on what you learned in part 1 of the book. And then in this part 2, I will explain about what you need to do to change this approach to manifest your own dreams and desires. So it is therefore no longer a process, but it becomes your process. It is what you need to do to manifest what you desire. As mentioned previously, the application of this technique has been designed for it to be successful for most of you. I will also explain more about this in what follows. Therefore, taking each heading of part 1 of the book in turn, we can unravel the process. Choose happiness daily. In the first chapter, we looked at how important it is to choose happiness and take responsibility for your own life. What we all want is happiness, is it not? It is the ultimate quest of everything we do. In the manifestation process, it is all about feeling happy by imagining already having something you want. If you follow the manifestation process as presented, you have already embarked on a journey to taking responsibility for your own life. You did not involve anybody else, nor did you ask or expect anybody to do anything for you. You chose happy feelings inside, when according to the instructions you were asked to imagine happy feelings before you received the coffee. This is as described in Chapter 1. Befriend your best friend. The subconscious mind plays a very important role in our lives and in keeping us alive, as explained in Chapter 2. You will have also seen that we are only consciously aware of only 0.0000005% of what we physically observe in our outer world. What we observe is determined by our beliefs. I therefore asked you to believe you already had a free cup of coffee. This in itself does not require a large leap of faith for most of you. Another important step in the manifestation process is to imagine feelings directly associated with already having what you want. By imagining the physical, emotional feelings of already having what you want enables you to speak directly to your subconscious mind. Again, most of you are able to do this to manifest a free cup of coffee. You are attractive. Using your imagination appropriately, you set up the necessary vibrations to attract something you want. I also outlined steps in the manifestation process in such a way that you imagined being the person with a free cup of coffee, rather than just having the cup of coffee, so to speak, in accordance with Chapter 3. Remember the phrase, be, do, then have. By seeking a free cup of coffee with this approach, you require a leap of faith to be a person who believes you can receive one. It takes such a small leap of faith, however, that it falls under the radar in terms of the subconscious mind for most people. Thoughts attract things. The power to create or manifest what you want comes from within. True happiness only comes from within. One of the most important considerations in the manifestation process is to stop thinking how the world thinks. Stop thinking what has to happen in the world for you to have what you desire. This form of thinking is one of the main reasons you do not have what you desire. In the manifestation process, you do not have to consider how the free cup of coffee will manifest. The manifestation process also asks you to relax your mind. This is to detach your mind from receiving data from the outer physical world. This aids you in imagining new thoughts of what you want, rather than receiving data from the outer physical world that leads to thoughts of what you do not have. Create your world. You are creating constantly. Your outer physical world mirrors your beliefs. In learning this manifestation process, you are now taking charge of this human ability we all have to create your own reality. Simply using the manifestation process alone enables you to change your world by changing your beliefs. The manifestation process allows you to change your world from the inside and not from the outside. It proves you can change your feelings both physically and emotionally at any time. You have unlimited power in this aspect of the natural laws of the universe. This is true for every single human being. You are manifesting all the time anyway, so you may as well take control of what you manifest by using your imagination. Dare to imagine. It is likely to be self-evident by now that the power that comes from within is through your own human imagination. The manifestation process calls for you to imagine a scene, as do many other authors in this field. This is the simplest approach to using the technique. It is not the only one, however. By the end of this book, you may have your own approach, so be flexible in your thinking as you read ahead. One last thing before we move on. In choosing to manifest a free cup of coffee, you have no or very little attachment to the outcome. You did not need a free cup of coffee. If you feel you need something to happen, it means you are considering some negative thoughts regarding what might happen if the manifestation process did not work. There are approaches to circumvent this that we will look at later in the book. If all of the above seems too challenging, then please take heart. The purpose of this book is to help you develop new ways of thinking so that eventually you can manifest whatever you want habitually. You will be able to manifest the life you desire so naturally that you will be virtually unaware you are doing it. It will become a way of life because you learned how to communicate with your subconscious mind, your best friend. You are going to learn how to be happy, just as we described in the very first chapter of this book. Learning new ways of living with discipline may seem like hard work at first, But as you see more and more success appear, you will flow into this way of life by choice once you have mastered your own mind. You are also going to learn that the journey to manifesting whatever you desire is just as joyful as the actual receiving or the destination of what you desire. So what is the difference between this technique as described to manifest a free cup of coffee and that to manifest your dreams and wishes? In short, the answer is the journey, or specifically, your journey. I use this phrase journey as have many other authors before me, most notably Joseph Rodriguez in his fantastic series of YouTube videos that I wholeheartedly recommend. To put it another way, you are going to go on a journey, just like the journey described in Chapter 6 previously, to manifest your dreams and desires. It is a journey that is going to make you happy. The destination of this journey is the goal or thing you desire in your life. Your journey involves developing faith to believe that you can have what you desire. On this journey, you become the person who believes they already have what they want. On this journey, you replace old limiting beliefs with new empowering beliefs. Importantly, it also involves developing your understanding of what it is you really desire, rather than what you think you desire. I want to give you an example of what can happen working with the law of attraction. And this has happened to me, so I can vouch for its validity. Maybe you want a high income or lots of money. Maybe you want freedom from having to work a 9-to-5 job so that you can do things you want to do. You then lose your job. Losing your job is an example of how events can work for you to give you freedom you desire. One way to achieve success that brings lots of money is to start your own business. So losing your job is certainly one way how events can conspire to help you to decide to start your own business. When this happened to me, I did have a reasonable amount of money, but I lost it quickly because I did not have the self-belief at the time that I could make money from money. I also secretly harboured bad feelings towards my boss at the time, which I now realise was feeding negative thoughts to my subconscious mind. My outer world eventually fed this back to me because, as I explained back in Chapter 5, your outer physical world mirrors your beliefs. What did I learn from this episode in my life is that internally, what I really desired in life is freedom. Freedom to spend my days how I want to. Freedom to have enough money to buy the clothes I wanted, or to go on holiday when and where I wanted. Now read this again. I wanted clothes and I wanted holidays. I did not necessarily want money. I thought money would make me happy as I saw it as a means to gaining these things I want. But money was not the main source of my desire. More than the clothes and the holidays, what I really wanted deep down is freedom. Freedom is what I want above everything else. What I have learned since also is that this desire for freedom lives in my subconscious mind. So my subconscious is doing everything it can to gain me my freedom. I can now see, looking back over all of my life, that I can count episode after episode where the need for freedom has been the main desire in my life. Freedom is what I ultimately value the highest, far more than money. I am happy if I am free. Now, what do you really want? Is it freedom? Maybe it is great wealth. Or is it love? Now, when you know what you really want in life, the manifestation process becomes so much easier. Developing faith becomes easier. Believing you already have what you want becomes easier because you crave it so much. This is because you are working with your subconscious, not against it. I now do have my clothes. I do go on holidays where I want to. Most importantly, I have the freedom I really crave. I now work when and where I want to, and I have money. This is because I found my journey. The destination of this journey is happiness. You also become happy just being on the journey because you know you will arrive at the destination you want. Just think, if you could be happy knowing you are manifesting whatever you desire, but you are equally happy living without actually having these things you desire manifest just yet, then how joyful is that? You have a choice now. You can decide to embark on your journey and take the first steps to a life of fulfillment. Or you can rush ahead near to the end of the book where I describe how I made quite a bit of money. I advise you to keep listening. I will tell you a little bit more about what happened to me after I lost my job, as I mentioned earlier. I felt a calling in my life to start writing a book, which eventually came to be what you are reading here in front of you. I did eventually find another job, but not until after I had lost quite a bit of money. I found new ways to lose money, including lending to friends and online scams. Even so, the calling for me to continue writing stayed burning inside. I needed to work, however, as I was getting into debt. It was not all plain sailing, as you might imagine. At times I was low, very low. I fell into bouts of drinking too much alcohol. I was not an alcoholic as such, and often went weeks without touching a single drink. The odd drink, however, became one more, and then another one, as I enjoyed the courage to try and manipulate events in the outside world. What I was really doing was suppressing the same habitual thoughts within my subconscious, which were the same limiting beliefs that I did not deserve to have any money. I realized I needed to do something about my limiting beliefs about money. I will explain exactly what happened to me at the end of this book. I appreciate leaving it to the end like this sounds like a tease. I do not wish this so. However, if I told you, some of you will be tempted to copy exactly what I did, which defeats the whole purpose of this book. At the onset of writing this chapter, I decided to manifest £100,000 to get out of debt, but I also wanted to prove it is possible to attract a large amount of money using the law of attraction. I wanted to prove it to myself and overcome my limiting beliefs about being undeserving of money. I also, of course, wanted to prove this material works before completing this book. I want the book to be authentic. So this became the destination for my journey. How to manifest a large amount of money whilst reconciling what I really wanted, which is freedom, against my limiting beliefs that I did not deserve to have money. The destination was £100,000, but on the way I had to become the person who believed he already had £100,000. On this journey, I needed to learn to have faith and overcome limiting beliefs in my own subconscious mind. I was not always easy, but I learned and moved on. I eventually fulfilled the manifestation of well over £300,000. This journey would take nearly 2 years. I have learned so many things about myself on the way, however, that are worth far more than this. It was actually when I suffered a migraine for 2 days that I had a major breakthrough. It proved significant in so many ways. I made a huge breakthrough in my life by reading books by David R. Hawkins. One book in particular is called Letting Go. Its title is self-explanatory. I learned that many of the causes of my limiting beliefs was due to the suppression of unwanted feelings deep into my subconscious. I had to learn to let these go. Throughout my journey, I always believed I could manifest a large amount of money, even during the hardest times. One of the things I needed to stop was thinking about how the money would manifest. Every time I thought of manifesting £100,000, all I could think about was winning the lottery. This in itself is a limiting belief. I believed there was no other way I could manifest this amount of money. So I often went out and bought a lottery ticket, but to no avail. I realised afterwards I was trying to fix the outcome. But all this does is try to shorten the journey, and it will not work. So do not look for how what you desire will manifest. Often the things we want will eventually manifest in the most ordinary ways. At the end of my journey, that is exactly what happened. Learning to use the law of attraction to your advantage is all about learning about yourself. You did not really need to know much about the law of attraction, did you, to perform the manifestation process I described to manifest a free cup of coffee? In the same way, you do not need to know that much about the law of gravity to design an aircraft. Knowing more and more about gravity does not make you a more accomplished designer of faster and bigger aircraft. You need to learn how to reprogram your subconscious, and this is all part of the journey for you. There are already too many books and videos on the law of attraction out there that try to prescribe the same approach to attracting what you want. My technique described in Chapter 7, even if followed every word over and over, is unlikely to work for you to attract your every dream and wish in its current format. This is because the bigger the desire, the more resistance your subconscious mind will put up to defeat you. I did not eventually manage to attract a large amount of money by learning more about the law of attraction. I do not want this book to be another book about the law of attraction. Many of the best books on the law of attraction do not even mention it. One of the best and most well-known books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, hardly ever talks about the law of attraction. Some other notable authors such as Neville Goddard hardly mention it, if at all. So do yourself a favour and stop watching any more videos about the law of attraction. I will stop talking about it here and henceforth not even mention the law of attraction. Therefore, we are not going to talk about frequencies anymore. We are certainly not going to talk about dialing into the right frequency because quite honestly, there is no such thing anyway. We may however mention vibrations now and again, as this is useful to explain the physics of thinking and imagining. You know what the law of attraction is, and you know it is working all the time. But that is all you need to know. Instead, we are going to talk about your beliefs, and you having faith to believe that you can manifest whatever you wish or desire. We are going to talk about impressing on your subconscious mind new beliefs that support your wishes and dreams. This whole exercise, this whole book, is about you changing yourself on the inside. So go on and enjoy your journey, and it starts here. One of the most influential teachers in my life is Neville Goddard. Many other writers will say the same. Thankfully, many of his teachings are still available in books or recordings on YouTube. In one such recording, he explains how he first learned himself of the power available within each and every one of us to manifest our dreams. It was in the early 1930s when a very deep depression hit the United States, especially in New York where he lived. Neville Goddard had no money at that time, not enough to buy a meal. He told his friend Abdullah, who would eventually become his mentor, that he wanted to travel to Barbados to be with his family. Abdullah said, "You are in Barbados." "I am in Barbados?" replied Neville. "Yes, you are now in Barbados." Abdullah explained to Neville that the moment he wants something, he must assume he already has it. From that moment, he assumed when he went to sleep at night, he was sleeping in Barbados. Neville did this for a month and saw no evidence of his wish being fulfilled. After that, he said to Abdullah, "If I don't get the next boat out, I cannot go to Barbados." Abdullah said, "Who says you are going to Barbados? You are in Barbados." Neville Goddard explains that he did eventually travel to Barbados, and in first class. his wish manifested in a relatively ordinary way. You can hear him explaining the story yourself on YouTube. Neville Goddard used the power of imagination to close his physical senses to what the outer world was telling him, and imagined his desired state is already true. He eventually became one of the most influential speakers of his time, giving many speeches to large audiences without ever charging a penny. The manifestation technique I propose in this book is based on the teachings of Abdullah to Neville Goddard. This story, however, is powerful in other ways. Abdullah only ever spoke of the present or the now. He frequently told Neville that he is in Barbados. There is no concept of past or future. In this story, Neville Goddard spoke of his fear that he would not get to Barbados in the future, which is based on limiting beliefs developed in the past. Abdullah taught him to believe he already has his wish granted in the present, as if what Neville wanted is already a reality. Most of us do not have a friend called Abdullah, but we can imagine one. When we imagine a scene to manifest our desires, we can imagine a friend saying, "Congratulations," or even somebody kissing us because we have found our one true love. If your wish is to get out of debt, then imagine somebody telling you your debt is clear. Or imagine receiving a letter confirming it. One other powerful aspect of this account of Neville Goddard is what he said about his life in New York after he had been taught by Abdullah. He explains he had no desire to become a member of the many gentlemen's clubs in New York, but he attended most of them as a guest of other members. This is because he removed his limiting belief that he is barred from entering these clubs because he is not a member. How many of us have similar limiting beliefs? We do not have what we want because of our limiting beliefs. This is why the journey I speak of earlier in this and other chapters is so important. The manifestation process itself will not work if you are fighting against limiting beliefs. Your subconscious is too powerful. First, remove the limiting beliefs, and then the manifestation process becomes straightforward. So what is it that Neville Goddard and others like him taught? They teach that you create your world. They explain that your outer world is your inner world pushed out. We saw this in chapter 5. Our senses show us an outer world we believe in subconsciously. Therefore, to manifest what you desire in your outer world, you have to work on your inner world. Neville Goddard taught that we change our mind, our subconscious mind, through the power of our imagination, to create a world we desire. You are responsible for the world you create. Every person, every circumstance, every event in your life is a result of your thoughts and emotions, and the vibrations they emit into the universe. Most people run their lives focusing on their outer world presented to them, rather than focusing on their inner thoughts. Most people let their emotions be determined by what they observe in their outer world, rather than realizing that it is these emotions that create their outer world. To use the law of attraction to your advantage, you need to become more aware of your subconscious thoughts and take control of them. You need to expand your consciousness. We looked at consciousness back in chapter 5. So what does expanding your consciousness actually mean? We need to become more aware, more conscious of what it is we are manifesting in our lives that is currently subconscious. Expanding your consciousness literally means becoming more aware of your thoughts and emotions. It means bringing your subconscious thoughts into conscious awareness. Then you will realize what you are creating with your thoughts, good and bad. The manifestation technique I presented in part 1 of this book does work. We are all using this technique in some way, shape or form, all day, every day. and it is always successful. It is the law. So why are we not living the life of our dreams? It is because for most of the day we are using this manifestation technique subconsciously. You are manifesting what your subconscious wants, whether you like it or not. All those repressed emotions and limiting beliefs you picked up from your environment, starting as a young child, are shaping the outer world you live in through the manifestation process. There is a better way. You can bring all your thoughts into your conscious mind using practices that are easily learned, starting with the next chapter. Only by being aware of the disempowering thoughts you have subconsciously can you eradicate them out of your mind and replace them with new imagined feelings and emotions to manifest what you really want. Communicating with your subconscious becomes easier, and you can begin to influence your autopilot to direct your life into one that brings happiness and fulfillment. By becoming more aware of negative, disabling thoughts, you can eradicate them from your life. When negative thoughts arise, simply feel them and let them go. Do not try to bury them in your subconscious. This is one of the most important lessons I learned on my journey. By expanding your consciousness, you will understand more and more about which of your thoughts are enabling or disabling you from living the life you desire. You will continue to use the manifestation technique as described, but you will use it with less effort and more faith to manifest bigger goals. You will use the technique less as a prescription and more as a way of life. As your mind is cleansed of your former self, one that was run by subconscious programs based on fear, you will find it easier to assume you are who you want to be. You will remain faithful to this assumption. You will then be more of who you want to be, which eventually means you will do and have more of what you want to do and have in your life. To manifest your desires in this world, to create happiness in your life, you need to change yourself on the inside. This means faithfully becoming the person on the inside who already has what you want, despite your physical senses telling you otherwise. The manifestation process I described earlier does not require you in any way to convince or coerce any of your fellow men or women to do anything on your behalf. Quite the contrary. You are not to anticipate how your desires will manifest at all, let alone how anybody else will help you. What if, however, you want to change the world into a happier, friendly place? What if you wanted the people around you who you work with to be more supportive and cooperative? Come to think of it, what is the real purpose of all these people around me in the first place? One could send an email to all 8 billion inhabitants of the world with instructions on how they should act or behave to create the world you believe in. Or you could look inside and change yourself instead. Which is the easier? As Leo Tolstoy said, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. You will only change your world when you yourself become the embodiment of how you expect the world to be. How often instead do we focus on someone or something we do not like, and then we wonder why it keeps appearing over and over again. We have to change our thinking inside our minds. These 8 billion inhabitants of the world do have an important role in your life. Those that help us or hinder us do so according to the beliefs we hold within ourselves that shape our outer physical world. Every second of every day, you are introduced to events, people and circumstances in your immediate physical environment. They are providing you with 24-hour feedback on how your inner thoughts are manifesting a world you desire. Your outer world is one huge mirror constantly telling you who you are on the inside. People are messengers, They reflect back to you your internal well-being and thereby revealing to you the beliefs and programs that are stored in your subconscious. Your outer world shows you what labels and rules you impinge on your life to reveal the same people, circumstances or events in your life. There is no escaping this principle. Remember, you attracted these people and circumstances into your life. There are no coincidences. This is why, therefore, I implore you to read the rest of this book to learn how to reprogram your subconscious mind to manifest your dreams. You can also, and I very much encourage you to do so, use the manifestation process for the benefit of other people. If a friend or colleague is sick, then imagine them being well. Do this in the secrecy of your own mind. Do this in love. I cannot overemphasize the far-reaching effects of praising openly and enthusiastically the good qualities in others, for this habit will soon reward you with the self-respect and gratitude from others. Cultivate love for your fellow man, and you will receive love in return. Love thy neighbour. Do not judge or criticize your neighbour, otherwise your life will be filled with judgment and criticism. This is not just a biblical prophecy. It is the law of attraction. At the beginning of this chapter, we looked at how the manifestation process described in part 1 of this book works and encapsulates the power of the human imagination to manifest what a person desires in their life. With continued practice, thoughts of what a person wants replaces other, usually negative thoughts a person habitually has of what he or she does not want. The manifestation process requires a person to believe it will work. It requires a person to believe they already have what they desire in terms of physical and emotional feelings using their imagination. To manifest a free cup of coffee will not present too much of a challenge for most people in this regard. To manifest something you do not believe you can have or deserve due to limiting beliefs requires you to go on a journey of self-discovery to become the person who believes you can have what you dream or desire. Then new imagined thoughts will attract what a person wants through these new vibrations. Only by believing you can manifest and already have a lot of money, for example, can you actually manifest it. On this journey, we will learn in the following chapters how to expand your consciousness. This means making conscious your thoughts and beliefs, otherwise hidden within your subconscious mind, that are attracting people, events and circumstances in your life you do not want. We can then learn to use our imagination to reshape our future in harmony with our desires. Finally, we saw how we change our physical world by changing our view of the world inside. People and events in our world provide feedback of our inner thoughts and mirror our beliefs. Therefore, to create a world you believe in, you must first become the embodiment of how you want the world to behave yourself. Live in love and gratitude for your world, and you will receive love and gratitude in return.